Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Get Into Flow. So, I need to tell everybody this interview has been in progress for months. We've been sick, we've had to reschedule, things came up, but we are here today with Swarna. And I'm so excited because this was a topic that from the beginning, I think we initially connected like last fall when I reached out for guests. The topics that Swarna was suggesting and how we connected, what we have in common, really, really, really excited me. And so we were like, okay, we need to make this happen. And here we are. So yay, welcome, Swarna.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be here. And like you said, this has been in the making. So I'm so excited to finally talk to you.
We connected on dance. We connected on stories of burnout, how we inspire and empower people through confidence building. There's so much to discuss and unpack. But first, let's start with Swarna's story. Tell us your personal journey, how you got here, and then we'll weave in the teachings along the way.
Sure. So I would maybe like to start with what I do now, just to kind of give an overview of what's happening now and then go how I came to this space where I'm now. So I'm a confidence and authenticity coach for high achieving women, especially empaths and introverts. And I'm also a nervous system mentor and a mind body coach. And I basically help women to get in touch with their authentic selves. And that's what I'm so passionate about. And that I feel is what my personal journey has been all about. And of course, because we are living this life, there are constantly layers that we are peeling back, even in the present. And that has been one of the biggest lessons for me in my life that I don't have to reach a perfect point in my journey, but the journey is ongoing. And there's so much grace and yeah, grace that can be found in just allowing yourself to be where you are. So a lot of my journey happened underneath this mindset of that I have to reach a certain point of where I'm ready. And that put so much pressure on me that I didn't know how to process.
Mhm.
And I didn't know how to kind of live with that, except with huge amounts of anxiety and living in this state inside of me that where I felt that I'm worth pretty much nothing. I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't believe that my dreams mattered, and I didn't know how to get there. So all of this, how I unpacked all of this, sometimes consciously, sometimes not knowing that this trouble was actually part of my journey and what was meant to open up new things for me. Um, I feel so blessed to be able to now sit here and have so much more clarity on the things that I've experienced and where they've led me. So just that as a short introduction, and um, yeah, then we can go into my story. I kind of don't know where to start.
Wonderful. Yes, well, maybe because you mentioned it, let's talk about the pressure that we put on ourselves as high achieving women to have that picture perfect version of success, and how, in the end, it really just sets us up for anxiety, like you said, and just too many expectations.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when I was doing my university degree, so I have, like I mentioned, a master's in pharmacy, I thought that, getting the education, getting the relationship, I got married when I was 23, and getting all of those kind of checked on my list, I thought that would bring happiness.
Mhm.
And when I was studying, I had no idea how to be vulnerable. I had huge amounts of anxiety inside. And because I had been raised as a good girl, I also kind of thought that I had to get good grades and achieve those things in order to be accepted and worthy of something. Of course, I wasn't aware of this back then. The only thing I was aware of that I was really anxious and I felt like I still remember walking through the halls of the university. I was like this floating head just walking, the halls, just feeling this incredible amount of anxiety on my chest. And to be honest, quite hopeless because I didn't like, I thought I was on the right path and I couldn't figure out why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And I didn't realize back then that all of these pressures of making my life look a certain way were not actually what I really wanted inside. Like it wasn't authentically me, but I also had no idea how to access the authentic me. And
Yeah.
this is something that when I realized this years after, I was like, whoa. And I was also like, whoa, if I experience this, how many other women must be experiencing the same thing?
Hmm.
And and all this, pressure of having my life or needing it to look a certain way, I realized that like no, I don't want this. I don't want my life to feel like this. And I still remember this one moment. I had graduated with I had my bachelor's and I was sitting in a pharmacy. This is a moment I remember so clearly. I had graduated, I had gotten married. I was I can't remember if I was going to continue in that particular pharmacy, but I just remembered being there and thinking it was like 2 weeks into like after my graduation, and I was thinking, I cannot believe this is gonna be the rest of my life. Like, I cannot believe that I'm going to be sitting here giving people the same instructions about their medication day after day after day and waiting for the clock to strike 5 or 6 so that I can go home.
Yeah.
And this is what was the result of me trying to create the perfect checklist kind of life
Hmm.
that I thought would bring happiness.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Definitely relatable. And just that moment that you mentioned, that is the exact moment that stopped me in my tracks. When I
Mhm.
realized this is going to be how I am going to live the rest of my life. And I was in my 30s when I made the switch, but it was the realization of this can't be the rest of my life. Like there needs to be more than this. So I think a variation of that question or that thought is what triggers a lot of us to start to open our awareness and be conscious of what is going on. And then we can start to talk about, okay, well, what do we do to reconnect to our authentic self? Like we said, we don't know what that means, but we have a feeling that like something is off. So for those listening and watching, it's kind of like you don't have all the answers. You don't know exactly what it is that is wrong, quote unquote, or that you would want to do differently. It all starts with a feeling. It all
Mhm.
starts with a little whisper of like, there's something not quite right, or it's not quite lining up with what I thought it would be, or the expectation is maybe not being met, or again, like there's something that just feels off. Like it just feels like it's not something's missing or something's just not quite right, if I could describe it that way. Is that how you felt as well, Swarna?
100%. And I was afraid to admit
Oh, yeah.
that this might actually not be what I want. And
Yeah,
I was like so scared.
for
And
sure. Because you worked
yeah,
so hard, right? Like that was the plan. Like you worked hard, you checked the boxes like you said, and everyone's looking at you, everyone's proud of you, but you're like, "Oh my God, this is not what I want."
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now?
Exactly. Then there's guilt and there's shame, right?
Mhm.
Because we have
Mhm.
this quote unquote perfect life that we've built for ourselves. And
Mhm.
everyone looking at us is like, what do you mean you don't want this anymore? Like, are you crazy? Like,
Yeah,
what more can you want? This is great.
exactly. Exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
And if I could look at myself now, or say something to that version of me at I was 25, I think, when this happened, that it's okay to feel that.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we don't want to feel that because it feels so scary. Like we don't want to go there first because it feels so devastating. Like, what are the people around us going to say if we choose another path?
Yeah.
And that is a huge thing. Or it can be our family. If we have family, there can be the pressure that, oh, I cannot even entertain these thoughts because I have children, I have a partner. I cannot derail their lives uh,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
my passions. I think this is a big obstacle for many women that just makes us kind of shut down this voice that is actually asking us only to get curious. I feel like that's what
Absolutely.
it's asking. It's not
Yes.
asking us to, change our whole lives suddenly like this. It's just asking us to get
Yeah.
curious.
Yes. Well said. Because I think if we view it as curiosity and not like intense transformation right away, it can kind of ease that fear and just allow us to explore and just see what's there. And it might not be a total career change like you and I did. It might just be a slight lifestyle change. It might just be something that you need to shift in your inner world, like maybe just the way that you speak to yourself, maybe just your mindset. Like there are other possibilities. It doesn't mean because you have this whisper, this feeling that, oh my God, you need to change careers and uproot your whole life. So I just want to make that clear. Thank you for bringing that up because it doesn't have to be as drastic as you may think. It could be very, very subtle, but it can make all the difference still. Yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
And for you, I'm curious, curiosity, I'm curious when you were feeling that way and you were kind of avoiding the feeling because we don't want to feel that, or we were kind of repressing it because we're like, how could I want something different? For me, that guilt and that shame or that unwillingness to go there is what led to my burnout because I was disconnected from my reality and I was forcing myself to try to be happy in a space that I had outgrown. And I didn't have the tools at the time to really understand what that was all about. I thought I just needed a vacation, right? I thought I was just overworked. But in the end, it was the disconnect that I'm no longer where I need to be and I'm no longer feeling fulfilled in my job as I once was that led to my burnout because forcing myself over and over to do something that I don't want to do, adds up over time. The exhaustion, the feeling that like, well, nothing I'm doing is working. And then you get in your head and you're like, well, maybe it's me. And then you start judging yourself. So many components, but it really just came down to I was no longer in the right place. Is that what happened with you, or do you have a different burnout story?
I have a different burnout story. Mine came only 12 or 13 years after actually my burnout story in a different way.
Hmm.
What happened to me, I just want to acknowledge that what you said is, I feel, also so common that we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until the body says that now you have to stop.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that because I know there must be many people listening who have experienced what you experienced.
Mm.
But my story was a bit different because I mentioned that I had just finished my bachelor's. So I feel like I kind of have ignored the voice and have listened to it because I thought that if I just go back to the university and get the master's degree, that will make this problem go away.
Yeah.
Like more
Also common.
knowledge. Yeah,
Yeah.
like more knowledge to,
More knowledge. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I thought that would solve all my problems. So I went back, and I had finished my master's for everything except for my thesis. And in that summer, I was taking dance classes. No, it was the spring. And I decided that I've always wanted to dance, but I've always said to myself that it's not a good enough profession. Like I have to have the profession that makes sense. So that's why I always said, like, no, no, dancing is just a hobby. But that's
Yeah.
also where I was the happiest
Yeah.
when I was dancing. So I applied to schools in Finland. I didn't get into any. It was like this close that I got into one. There are not many schools in Finland, but I didn't get into any of them. And then I had one friend who was in Germany, and she said, or I wrote to her because I knew that she was in Germany, where I'm currently based in. And I asked her that, like, how is your school? Like, do you like it? And how is it over there? And she was like, oh, I love it here. You should totally come here. And then I was like, okay, this gonna be my last straw. Like, I'm gonna apply and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So I made a DVD because back then you made DVDs. I sent it per post, not online.
Hmm.
And as soon as the leader of the school saw it, she wrote me back and said that you have a place here in our school.
Wow.
And I was like, what is happening? Like, this
What
is
do I do?
what
Yeah.
do I do?
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was like the most beautiful thing that had happened to me. Well, maybe not the most beautiful, but like one in the top
Yeah.
five. And but then I was like, oh my goodness, I have to move to another country. Like all the fears started coming in.
Right.
And before actually the fears came in, I was thinking about this. I was thinking, like, what do I do? What do I do? And I also had an aging mother. I felt really guilty about possibly leaving her because I'm the only child.
Hmm.
And also my husband he was working at that point, I think. So we were also kind of like, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, and there was one question that came to my mind, and that was, um, will I regret it in 10 years if I don't go? And the
Good
answer
question.
was a full
Yeah.
body, yes, I will regret it if I don't go. And that was the thing that cleared this whole question for me. I didn't want to sit back in 10 years and look back and would be
Yeah.
like, there was this moment where I had the possibility to follow my heart and follow what I really wanted to do if I didn't listen to that voice who told me to just check the boxes and make decisions that made sense in society. Like this was the moment. And that is how I knew that that's the right decision for me. But after that, of course, the fears just got louder. And I just want to point that out because then came the fear of moving to another country, being away from my family. And I grew up very I probably should have mentioned this before, but I've grown up very hyper vigilant, not just the good girl, but hyper vigilant because Finland back then it's still a very white country, but I definitely stood out everywhere I go. I got attention that I didn't necessarily want, which
Hmm.
made my body and nervous system be very alert all the time.
Hmm.
So I also had this like fear of life, like fear of everything pretty much. So it was terrifying me. I didn't want to even go on a holiday in a different country because I was so afraid of all the bad things that might happen. Like this was
Yeah.
my life. So this feeling that I had inside of me that kind of nudged me forward to kind of go, that feeling was so strong in that moment that it overrode all those fears that I had.
Wow. And such a powerful question that I
Mm,
feel like everybody you can ask yourself if you're at that crossroad or if you're like, oh, I don't know, and you're conflicted. Such a powerful question. Will I regret this in 10 years if I don't do it?
mm,
And thank you for pointing out that the fears will probably get louder if you say yes, because they're just there to keep you safe in your comfort zone, in your familiar territory. And speaking of nervous system, on top of it, if you're already hypervigilant or if you're already in the state of awareness, then the voices will get even louder or your body will be even more aggressive in trying to keep you comfortable and safe. and not get you into a new territory. Like you had to move, you had to figure out family situation. Like there were so many new opportunities for you, but the nervous system was like, alert, this is scary. This, we can't do this. So, even more reason why your intention needs to be in the core, at the root of your decision. Like, why are you doing this? What is it that this will bring you? And reminding yourself of that. So, tell us, did you go for it? Did you go?
I did. I did.
Yay!
I did. Um, and I have to point out that if it hadn't been for my husband and his support, I wouldn't have been able to actually go because my nervous system, like you just described, it pulled me into a complete freeze state. Like
Mhm.
I was supposed to be planning the move, booking tickets, finding where I would be staying. And that was just, I feel like there was something supernatural there, how it all worked out. Um, because my nervous system was just saying, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, this is too dangerous. But because I received help from the outside, like my husband helped me and the school leader helped me to find a place to
amazing.
stay. And then I think it was my husband who booked the plane tickets. He came with me to kind of bring me there because he didn't move with me right away.
Okay.
And he came with me, and then it was like 2 days before I moved, 2 days before the school would start. And then when we started, I knew after 2 days instantly that this is exactly where I need to be. All the anxiety went away, all the like the weight that I felt in my body, it all went away. And I knew underneath. That's why maybe this is important also for anyone who is in this crossroads situation, is that because I had that initial connection to that important question that I mentioned, that will I regret this later if I don't do it? Because I knew that how that felt in my body and I knew how my heart reacted to it the first time I did it before all the fears came. So I decided that, okay, I just need to listen to that because all of this other junk like over it is just fear. So because I had
Yeah.
that connection, I just kind of grounded myself in that and I went a bit blindly also, like I didn't know what I was jumping into. But I did go, and I have to say it was one of the best decisions in my life. I'm not saying it was an easy journey to study
Right.
dance, but it was one of the best decisions in my life.
And that distinction between what is my heart wanting for me and then what is my head saying, and knowing that whatever your head is saying is just trying to keep you safe, is just trying to have you avoid a complicated life or, trying to keep you in your familiar, certain lifestyle. That's what it's there for. But in your heart, if you know you're meant to be somewhere, yeah, go for it and try it. And what's the worst that could happen for you, Swarna? You would move back home, right? You would move back to
Exactly.
Finland. Yeah.
Exactly. But it feels like a life and death
Oh,
situation.
yeah.
And that's why it's so important to also know your nervous system and
Mhm.
how it tends to pull you back so that when you are facing these challenges and these pressures that you know how to kind of bring yourself into a little bit of regulation. I know this now, I didn't know it back then.
Right.
That's why I say that I felt so blessed and a bit of supernatural there somewhere because I felt like so led through this all. But now when I come against these pressures, I know how my nervous system wants to pull me back out of that, what it perceives as a threat. And I know
Mhm.
how to regulate myself and get connected to what it is that I really want. So, yeah, that was the beginning of my confidence journey, actually.
I love that. And going back to the nervous system for everyone watching and listening, let's talk a little bit about what kind of feelings, sensations, things that can come up when your body is resisting. So the term resistance, we use it a lot in this kind of work because it's anything that is holding you back. So anything
Mm.
that you feel physically or mentally that's holding you back from going after something that you want. So resistance can look like sensations in your body where like your stomach gets tight in knots, you have butterflies in terms of like you're just not feeling well, you have that anxiety, or in your head, it's all those voices that are telling you it's scary, stop, don't do it. What are people going to say? What are people going to think? Right? So all of this is resistance to something that is bringing you forward where you're going to have to get to uncomfortable because it's new. And so, again, when you notice that difference, you can start to say, okay, well, is it life or death? Like, is it actually a threat, like you mentioned, Swarna, or is it just preparing me because I have to spend more energy or I have to learn something new? I have to get out of my comfort zone. I could talk about comfort zone a lot. I think it's the easiest way to describe, right? Because you're safe in your familiar comfort zone. But it doesn't mean you're unsafe out of your comfort zone. It just means that you're going to have to maybe be a little uncertain, um, learn something new, and that's where confidence or lack thereof also fits in. So let's talk about for you, Swarna, what is it for your nervous system that alerts you that there is a potential threat? And maybe talk about also the work that you do with your clients so that we have ideas
Mhm.
of what that could look and feel like.
Sure. So my nervous system, it used to alert me with anxiety. That was the biggest marker.
Hmm.
But I don't know if we have time to go into my burnout story, but in my burnout, when that happened to me, I worked a lot with my nervous system. And I actually, without really maybe being so aware of it, I was able to reprogram my nervous system so that it does not bring anxiety as the first response anymore. I'm able to stay more in a regulated state, which
Amazing.
changed my complete existence. And that's a strong sentence, but I feel completely different now than I felt prior to doing this long healing from the burnout with nervous system work. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I feel so many of us, we just suffer with anxiety and these different sensations that you described, which are so important indicators of that resistance that you mentioned.
Hmm.
And at the same time, it can be for some of us kind of like this ongoing situation, and we don't know how to get out of this. And I had the belief that I am an anxious person, and that's just something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. Every now and then, this was my firm belief that okay, it comes and goes, and sometimes it's stronger, sometimes it's almost not there. But when I did this work with myself, I was able to bring so much safety to my nervous system that it was able to experience that, hey, this life is actually not as dangerous as my nervous system thinks. This goes back to how I grew up very hypervigilant and in this state.
Right.
So I had this constant being in the fight or flight,
Yeah.
or for me, it was actually, I think it was more freeze.
Hmm.
And then teaching my nervous system to operate in a different way was the beautiful result of me healing from my burnout. And um, for my body, what it currently does is, I think, it's sometimes avoidance. I think
Hmm.
for me, it's that my behavior changes in a way that I just kind of avoid that pressure and avoid the things that I want to do. So it's also interesting to notice how your behavior changes, not just the inner sensations and emotions, but also how does your behavior change when you come face to face with the pressure or something that's challenging you. That do you go towards it, or do you pull yourself away from it, or you do kind of just, stay in the middle, kind of like, I should be doing a lot of things, but I'm actually doing nothing and I'm just,
Yeah, very
scrolling on my
common.
phone.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely
exactly.
relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, me too.
Yeah.
So that's why I said before that learning your nervous system, I
Mm-hmm.
feel it's so important because it gives you kind of a pathway to navigate all of this,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to pull yourself out of that faster, out of that dysregulation. And it's not the goal to have a regulated system all the time because, life is life, things happen. But we want the nervous system to kind of have the flexibility to go into dysregulation and stress and then also come back and not get stuck in the scrolling or watching Netflix and knowing that we have so much to do, but we just can't seem to find a way to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. And just, shedding some light on the nervous system itself and how important it is for us to learn how to regulate or not to stay in that stressful state because safety is such a big part of preparing us for our goals, for what we want, right? If we don't feel safe in our body, or if the nervous system perceives a threat to being successful, making a certain amount of money, calling in clients, or creating a new project, right? We don't realize the impact that our nervous system has because it's unconscious. Maybe
Mm,
we're doing all the right things and moving towards the goals, like you and I were checking all the boxes, but the body was like, nah, it doesn't feel right. Or even more so, if it's something that you want to do. Like sometimes we think, oh, it's because we don't really want it. In terms of, let's say, I have a goal, I want to launch a new company. And my intention is very aligned with my values. It's exactly what I want to do. Like I feel very strongly about it. I ask myself, am I going to regret this later if I don't do this? And the answer is yes. It's kind of like, okay, like we're going to go for it. And then your nervous system kicks in and you're like, but wait a second, I thought this is what I wanted. So that's where we have to learn that regulation because maybe there are components of your idea of success that are keeping you in that fight or flight or freeze. So the nervous system is highly involved in your progress, whether it be towards something you want or something you don't want. It's there to alert you, it's there to help you. So the regulation and learning how to reprogram like you did is such a big part of this kind of work. Can you let us know, Swarna, just a little bit without going into the whole framework, but
mhm,
what's a little bit in terms of how can we start to even reprogram? So let's say number one, we have this awareness. We start to kind of see our patterns, see what kind of dysregulation that we're in, whether it's avoidance, whether it's anxiety, what is the behavior pattern as well. Then how do we start to make those changes to regulate?
mm. I think there's a lot of nervous system advice on the internet at the moment, and I think most of it is missing the number one thing, and it comes before the regulation, is to acknowledge your experience with compassion.
Mm, yeah.
And this sounds very boring, but if you go and your goal is just to regulate,
Mhm,
you know, you are actually overriding your experience and your emotions.
mhm,
And that's, I don't like the listeners can't see this, but it's like putting two fists kind of and pushing them
mhm,
against each other. And that's what you're doing to your system and your nervous system too. When you just jump into regulation, it's like, I need to get out of this, uncomfortable feeling. Whereas nervous system regulation should always be approached through, how do I actually see myself on a deeper level with compassion right here, right now? How can I, with my words, actions, and thoughts, can bring compassion and grace to myself? Because
mhm,
if you're just pushing into the regulation directly, you are, like I said, going against yourself.
Hmm.
And the acknowledgement part is what comes first, the compassion part. And it's so often I see this in my clients that they want to kind of change their experience as fast as possible, whereas it's actually the feeling and finding that compassion towards yourself that is kind of the foundation of it all. And then on top of that, you can start layering um, for example, vagus nerve exercises that work for you as a
Hmm.
way to bring yourself back to regulation. But
Hmm.
you really do need to learn your nervous system so that you know which exercises to use
Okay.
because not all exercises are for all states. And that's also the work that I do with my clients
Right.
with the mind body work and feeling the emotions and the sensations in your body to clear those blocks so that the system can feel safer to take that step towards your dreams and your goals and like the real authentic you.
Yes. And what I hear is that it's not about avoiding that fear. It's about sitting with it and teaching your nervous system that it's actually okay, that it's
Hmm.
actually safe.
Yes.
So the reprogramming is done by allowing yourself to actually feel it and to
Yes.
train your nervous system to be like, but wait, we're okay. There's no threat. Like we feel it. And instead of running from it or getting into that fight or flight or freeze, it's kind of saying like consciously, okay, we're good. Like we're safe. So when we feel this again, we know that it's not a threat. Like we're okay.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like you really become your biggest supporter and cheerleader. Like
Yeah.
you become that voice that you never had in your childhood, that
Hmm.
supportive, loving voice to yourself in those situations when you're dysregulated. And I think this just alone, that work has shifted so much in the way I am because now I have access to that supportive, compassionate voice who is able to kind of calm me down and be present
Yeah.
when I'm feeling that pressure. And yeah,
Hmm. And knowing that you don't have to look outside for that, that you have it all within you. And I think a lot of us, when we are in that state, we want solutions, we want validation, we want compassion from others. But I think the core of this work and how it makes it so powerful is that you learn to access that within you. So you have
absolutely.
everything that you need within you. It's just learning how to, tap into that power and tap into that resource. And then it changes your experience with the outer world. Your relationships change, right? Because then you're no longer dependent on them. You're no longer dependent on your job to make you happy, on people to make you happy, or to bring you something specific. You are your own source of happiness.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
remember when I realized this because I was in a huge victim mentality for I think most of my life. I was always searching for others to bring me that love and that compassion, what you just described so
Yeah.
well. And when I realized that, hey, wait a minute, if I just back myself up, like if I'm the support for myself, I can do anything in this world. And I just think about like, it feels like opening a door to this world of possibilities. And when you are in that safe space to actually open that door and see that for yourself and have that moment with yourself, like it just brings so much excitement and an abundance into your life when you notice that you can make that happen. So I feel like it's such a combination of, mindset work from that away from that victim mentality and working with your beliefs, but also, taking the body on board and not overriding what the body is saying and understanding what it's actually trying to communicate to you. And
Mhm.
yeah, just bringing those two together, like that is such a beautiful journey and process.
Absolutely. Would you say that being a dancer, you are a little more attuned to your body and the messages and how it's trying to communicate with you?
I love that you asked that. And I'm also curious to hear what you think because I was not attuned to my true emotions and the sensations in my body. Because I don't know what style of dance you've done, but I did contemporary dance, and it can be very tough. So in many cases, dancers learn to override the pain,
Yeah,
and just push through everything. Even when you're injured, you push through, you find a way.
you do. It's true. There's no such thing as injury for a dance. Like you keep
Exactly.
going. Yeah.
You have to keep going. If you
Yeah.
have like you're sick, you have fever, you still go to the rehearsals.
Yeah.
I remember this so well, and I thought I was like, I'm like such a good dancer. Like I don't let sickness
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
me. Like this is what I did when I was still in school.
Yeah.
I did have a lot of injuries, though. I think my body might have been trying to tell me something through those injuries, but
Maybe.
I was not listening.
We do
I
not. Yeah.
exactly. So that's why I said that I was not attuned to it at all because I
Mhm.
was just trying to push through them. And it wasn't until later I learned that, hey, if my body is telling me this, it's not weakness because this is the messaging that you get in dance schools that if you cannot push through, you're a weak and you should just get tougher. Like
Yeah.
I feel like this is what it was for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I did this work, the recovery work from my burnout with my own nervous system, that I learned to be attuned to the emotions and the sensations and not push them away as something weak or something weird or something that wasn't intellectual. This was another limiting belief I had, that everything that comes from the body is not intellectual or scientific.
Hmm.
This came from my university days. I think a lot of people have this also, that there's this disconnect between the body sensations and what is actually kind of the knowledge base and intellectual information. So those were my disconnections from my body. But once I learned to listen to them and attune to them, like I felt like I just became more whole as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And you actually have me reflecting. I thought I was attuned to my body, or in the sense of, like I could always feel when I was getting sick, and I knew what kind of sickness it was because I was aware of the body sensations. But hearing your story, I also realized that I was limiting myself, or I was pushing through, and I was given choreography. Like I went through ballet, jazz, hip hop, a few street style dances, ballroom, salsa, right? So in the beginning of my career when I was younger, I was learning choreography and it was all about execution. It wasn't necessarily about feeling. So it was like, I need to do this move perfectly. And it doesn't matter if my body's hurting or doesn't matter like what I'm feeling. It's like I need to execute it perfectly and then add performance to that. And I feel like once I started venturing into the street dance world, it was all about freestyle and expression. And there was a huge disconnect because freestyle, like, okay, what do you mean? I'm just dancing on my own? Like, I'm just feeling the music, but I've never really felt the music because I've been told what to do on the music.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, what do you mean I need to do it by myself? So that was a whole journey. And I feel like I was faking it for the longest time because I was just like forcing myself to find that. But now, after doing healing work, after reconnecting to my body, after my burnout, after really getting into my sensations, like what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm wanting to express? I would say in the past few years, I've improved as a dancer, more specifically as a choreographer, because I am able to bring that emotion through, or I'm able to feel, okay, what do I want to feel with this move? And I notice the difference even just in the way I perform, in the way that I'm even, I mean, perform, like performing in my living room kind of thing. Like I'm not, it's rare I perform anymore, but I notice the difference in terms of like being more aware of what these sensations are or what that connection could be, I'm able to bring that through more in my movement. And there's more of a subtlety, like a nuance and a confidence that comes through. That's a little more natural for me dancing it, and I'm sure for people watching too, but so interesting to see that difference going from forcing the feeling to actually allowing yourself to feel it.
I love everything you said. I love that. I could relate to it in many parts. I also felt like I didn't know basically how to improvise because I had always been
Yeah.
told how to move
Yeah.
and what to do with it. And I also feel like it was the disconnection to the authentic self and the actual feeling because there was
Hmm.
the pressure to perform.
Yeah.
Like I still remember being in those improvisation classes and I didn't know. I felt like I had a block between my heart and my movement.
Yes. Oh, yes, I could relate to that.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it only opened up through doing this work. And it's so relatable because yeah, it's because it felt like there's no flow
Right.
in the movement I didn't know like I can still feel that in my body how that felt. I just didn't know what to do with my body when someone didn't tell me what to do and
Yeah.
what steps to make or take, and I even really struggled with making my own choreography because I felt like I didn't have access to that
Hmm.
real creative flow. So I can really relate to what
Yeah.
you just said.
I think it also has to do with pressure
Hmm.
and judgment, right? Like as dancers, there's so much pressure that's put on us, but that we also put on ourselves to perform, to do things perfectly. So I feel like if we're venturing into this improvisation or freestyle moment, we carry that pressure to impress with us. And for me, that's what blocked me, where I'm in this position where I'm a good performer, I'm a high level dancer, I represent, for me it was I represent whacking in my community, and when I'm freestyling, everyone's looking at me and they're expecting me to be amazing.
Hmm.
Were they? I don't know, but that was the story I had in my
Yes.
head, right? Maybe they were just looking at me and
Yes.
cheering me on and with no expectations. And here I am in my mind saying, like, oh my God, they're expecting me to do something amazing. So I'm in my head dancing, not necessarily in my body. I'm dancing
Exactly.
from that headspace of I need to impress. I need to perform a certain way. I need to be a certain version of myself, which then comes back to the disconnect. Because when
Hmm.
you're in your head and you're trying to figure out what to do to make everybody else happy, you're not connecting to the music. You're forcing it. You're not truly dancing from a space where you can be yourself. And I think as I get older and as I remove that pressure or that need to impress, and I'm just dancing for me, like I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years, that changed for me. Because I got in the dance classes, I started taking heels classes, which was completely new for me, but I let go of the pressure. I did go in first class. I was like, "Oh my God, okay, I'm a versatile dancer. I have all these years of experience. They're all going to be looking at me." But putting on a heel and doing that choreography was the most challenging thing in my dance journey, and I was not good at all. So I had to let that go and be like, "Okay, we're here to learn. We're here like you're still a student, and who are you trying to impress? These people don't care. Everyone's just looking at themselves." Right? Like no one's judging you and watching you. So I had to let go of that pressure and that expectation that I put on myself. And I had to just be in the moment and be like, I'm a student, I'm learning. It's okay if I fall. It's okay if I shake and struggle. I'm here learning. And removing that pressure just allowed me to be in the moment and be with myself and connect to the music, connect to my body, explore different ways of moving, and that was okay for my journey and not have to expect that I was going to be perfect the first time I put on heels and dance in a class.
Oh gosh, I love everything you just said. That beginner mindset in everything I feel is such a powerful mindset to have
Hmm.
because that pressure, it can be real, like you just described, that everyone's expecting you to be a certain way, to dance a certain way, to be really good. Um, but they're probably not even thinking any of those things, but it's like what you experience
Yeah.
within yourself.
Hmm.
And to be able to release that and become a beginner, there is just so much power in that, that like instantly it releases us from this need to be something and
Yeah.
actually let ourselves to experience it from the, from the raw of learning something new and all the, falling downs and coming back
Yeah.
ups and all of that. Like that's what I feel is the real magic when we let ourselves experience that.
Absolutely. And that's the path to confidence that I feel a lot of us are searching for, dancers specifically.
Mhm.
You know, you go in the freestyle cypher and you have to exude confidence. You're the only one dancing, everyone's looking at you. But where is that confidence coming from? Is it
Mm,
forced because you feel like you have to impress? So you're kind of just putting on a show and playing a role? Or is it built because you've fallen down? You've tried things and looked silly and let it go and know that certain things don't work, but you're still out there trying. You're still putting yourself out there. You're still just giving it a shot. I feel like that's the resilience that we need, especially dancers, to then have that confidence to know that whatever you do is okay.
mm.
It's not the confidence of doing it perfectly, it's the confidence of just showing up and doing what you can and being
I love
yourself.
that.
That's the way I see it in terms of confidence. Like we all strive, and I mean, I'm guilty of this, striving for confidence through perfection or through execution. But I feel like real raw confidence that will last, that will really be embodied in you, is through showing up when it's uncomfortable, when you're scared, when you're not sure, and maybe even messing up, but keep going. That proves to you and your body and your mind that like, hey, I could do this. And that's the confidence that I feel like will be the one that will stay with us and the one that is the most true and the most authentic.
I love that. 100%. I agree. I feel like I needed also personally a reminder of that, because unfortunately my health has not been the best after my burnout. And I'm still in this phase in my life where I'm making my body stronger. When I had my burnout, I had problems with my heart rhythm, and
Mm,
that was really scary. So I'm in this place now where I'm going to the gym, I'm doing things that make me stronger, and here it has been challenging to get the beginner's mindset, allowing myself to be exactly where I am. I'm not even going to dance classes yet. I could, but I just there has been the pressure to, do everything the way I used to do them when I was fit.
yeah.
And that is the challenge that I'm now in, that I'm allowing my body to my best ability to be where it's at. And this can happen, when you're injured for a longer time as well,
Hmm.
that you allow the body to be a beginner. I mean, it's not technically a beginner because it's been before somewhere where it's been able to do a lot of different things, but now for some reason it's not. But there's the pressure of needing to kind of go there super fast again.
Yeah.
And then there's the your own mindset that, oh my goodness, like what are people going to think? Because now I'm not able to do things the way I used to do them.
Hmm.
And this is what I mentioned before, the rawness of this process and I just want to thank you for reminding me of that as well. Because I
Yeah,
feel like in my life I'm really living this in the dance spectrum at the moment.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And such a difficult journey to go through because you have that body that needs to heal, but the mind is pushing you to keep going and have these expectations of what you used to do. So, yes, if you can just help yourself to be in the moment and be like, okay, this we're healing. This is what we need to do, and we'll slowly start building again. But it's all mindset. It's all how
Hmm.
you perceive it, how you look at it, how you talk to yourself. Your nervous system comes into play as well, right? So all of this work that you're doing for others, you're also doing it for yourself, which is beautiful because you're practicing it on you at the moment.
Exactly. And I feel it is like that for all of us who are in the coaching world as
Yeah.
well, that it's hopefully for all of us the basic value of living what we preach
Yes.
or practicing what we preach, which is the correct one.
Yeah. I like both of them. They
Both,
both
yeah.
work. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that you really embody the things you talk about and you embody that beginner mindset and you allow yourself to be in that vulnerable place and you work with your nervous system, you work with your mindset, you work with your body, and all of that experience will just make you wiser and make you more expanded in this world and it makes you be able to reach those dreams and goals that you have. And that's what I feel makes you really connected to your authentic self when you just let it happen and you don't try to push it to happen.
Absolutely. And life will give you the experiences. It's fascinating to me how, every time I personally am, let's say, learning something new about the coaching world that I want to embody, life will give me the opportunity to experience it or call in the clients that are experiencing something similar to me so that I guide myself through it first and then I guide them through it. Like it's just everything always aligns so beautifully when you trust in the process, when you're connected to yourself, your authentic self, and when you know that you're on the right track and this is where you're meant to be, like we are. We've been through the experiences where we've tried to check the boxes. We did check the boxes. It didn't feel right. So we took that brave step to change our jobs, our careers, our lifestyle, and we found something that makes us truly happy, where we can experience true connection and authenticity. And now living from this space, you feel the difference of where you were and how maybe, yeah, it could have felt right to a certain degree, but how just when you do find what aligns with your soul and your values, it's like there's no comparison. There's just this innate wisdom and knowing that, like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. And it feels so good.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And also that there's no going back.
No,
Like,
you're right. Thank you for saying that. There's no going back because feeling
yeah.
what I feel now, I cannot go back to what I was before. Yeah,
Exactly. Because there's sometimes the temptation to go back,
of
like
course.
when things are not working out. It's like,
Yeah.
should I just go back to what I was doing? And then your body and heart is like, nope,
Please
nope.
no.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Thank you, Swarna, for having this beautiful conversation with me today. It feels good in my soul. I feel like I needed this conversation.
Yeah, I feel the
Yeah.
same. I feel the same 100%. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor to talk to you also and learn about your experience and your dance journey and also find out how many similarities there are. It's absolutely fascinating, and I'm
Yeah.
just so happy to meet other souls who are passionate about, similar kind of work and really
Yeah.
helping others to connect to their authentic selves. I absolutely adore that work. So thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And for everyone interested, I'm going to have Swarna's contact information in the show notes. You can reach out to her, follow her. She does beautiful work, as you can probably see and feel from our conversation. So, any kind of nervous system regulation, confidence building, right? Anything along those lines, reach out to her, and she's your gal. Thanks, Swarna. Such a pleasure to meet you. And maybe there'll be more from us. Stay tuned.
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe. So happy again that we made this happen because I think timing was everything. It didn't work out in the past. We tried I think, to be honest with everyone, we must have rescheduled 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times, correct.
But there's something to be said about timing because this conversation needed to happen today in the way that it did. And thank you for that.
Thank you so much.